Dr. Laarakker. You're the founder of the clinic, the holistic clinic of Den Hoek for people and animals, and also the developer, one of the developers and owners of the Analemma water, which is what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you that you want to have me over here. Thank you so much.
Of course. I do have the one, so,
Good.
I want to know more about it. Let's start with yourself. So how did your thought develop to eventually end up at water and wanting to create a product like this?
Well, it's actually a long story. I was born in a forest next to a river in the south of the Netherlands. And actually, I spent almost all of my time outside in the forest and near the river. And there was always this attraction, especially on water. So it's not like it pops up from somewhere. And I have to, sorry, put my email off. So, excuse me. Since I was 4 years old, I wanted to become a veterinarian. So I did. Started studying in Belgium and afterwards in the Netherlands to become a vet. And always was busy with horses since I was 4 years old. I've been riding horses. I still do. So almost 55 years now I'm spending on horses. And when I did my university, actually, I was not pleased at all with what I learned over there, because I was growing up in the nature next to next to a river. Energy was a very important thing for me. You could feel, the energy of the water, of the trees, and everything. And then suddenly, on the university, it was like it doesn't exist at all. We just look at what we see. And we divide all the parts of the body in different specialities. And so I missed completely the holistic approach, which was nature for me. So the first in 1986, I did the first acupuncture school for human beings. Then I got so much interested in it that I literally traveled all over this planet to study all different modalities, which there are. Chiropractic stuff. I did 4 other schools on acupuncture, homeopathy, herbal medicine, osteopathy, whatever you can find, energy medicine, and realized that all of them work and all of them have their parts in healing our body. So we start combining all of them in our clinic where we work now, and now we are with 15 veterinarians and doctors and a staff of assistants, and we develop like our own system to measure energies in the body and combine treatments in a holistic way, and which is quite successful over here. But there's always something to learn. You never know. I mean, till the end of my life, you will learn new things. And what I missed a little bit also in all those modalities, it's also, again, modalities. So about 17 years ago, I met my colleague, Dolf, and we decided to start off open research to understand a little bit more what life is. And so we were researching for how can we study life. And that's not so easy. We ended up on the work of famous Dr. Fritz Bopp, Professor Fritz Bopp in Germany, who found that all life systems emit so-called biophotons, emit light. And by that time, he stopped his career in Germany, Neuss. So we took over the whole laboratory and the whole staff, and start doing research on first on plants, because it's a lot easier than to measure biophotons on humans or animals. And actually, we ended up buying a whole greenhouse, 5-acre greenhouse, just to do research on plants and see how we can influence them. And we had a big concern, of course, is where this planning is running to. So we wanted to see what are the main ingredients in life to influence. So we can have a better immune system on this planet for human beings, animals, etc. Then very soon we found out that water plays a crucial role. And that was for us like a missing link between all the different modalities. So that's how we came into water.
Interesting. And so, what role was water able to fill that all the other modalities weren't able to do?
I must then explain a little bit more, maybe about the body.
Okay.
We learn at school that 70% of our body is water. That's in weight and mass. But if you look at from the molecular point of view, 99% of our body molecules is water. If that is the case, then it must be the most important ingredient of life. It's as simple as that. And nobody takes care of, looks at it, what is the role of water in our body? But actually, there's nothing but nothing in the whole body where water doesn't play a key role. It keeps the DNA stable, the information going in and outside the cell. Water plays a key role in everything. Water plays a key role. And then, so from my point of view, there are three big parts in a body which we don't look at. First of all, I told you, is water. The second one is that actually we are a microbiome. We are completely our body. Outside of your body, on your skin, you have about 1,000 species of virus, bacteria, stuff like that. Inside your lung, I think about 600 plus species. In your gut, 1,200 plus species. And all of them, so we are more or less a microbiome, a colony of bacteria, I like to say, in a pool of water run by the cosmos. And what I mean run by the cosmos, everything is about energy frequencies. All the communication systems in our body actually go through, we are like runways, like in a glass fiber. And water plays a key role in between. Actually, water is a broadband absorber for all electromagnetical energies. And that's a crucial thing. And actually, the funny thing is we learn that at school, but then we forget. We learned at school that we can live on this planet because we have an atmosphere. And this atmosphere absorbs about 70% of the incoming harmful frequencies, like from cosmic gamma, X-rays, UV, visible light, infrared, then terahertz, microwave, radio waves, ultra low frequencies. So from high frequency to low frequency, from this whole scale, only the visible light and part of UV is not being absorbed by water, of almost a lot less. And that's very crucial, otherwise it would be dark on this planet. So water is per definition a broadband absorber for all the electromagnetical energies, all the electromagnetical fields, and all the other kind of information like sound and stuff like that. And since everything what you see, everything which is matter has its own frequencies. So I mean, matter is frequencies, and we forget about this whole information system in our body. I'm convinced the future of medicine will be information medicine. So the last 30 years we found on like 4,500 frequencies which are active in your body, like your liver has 82 frequencies, etc., etc. And water plays a key role in that. So then we started to study, talk with everybody on this planet who knows something about water, and it's funny to see that nobody understands water. And a lot of research has been done, and there are many great people like Gerald Pollack who found the fourth phase of water,
Yes, I
which
have
is
him
actually
on
like
the
a gel
podcast
state
too.
of water. And actually your body forms it. So in your body you have a different state of water. And so why is that? We just accept it the way it is, but we don't deal with it. But actually water is the communicator. It receives, stores, and gives information. So if that is the case, and we found already that with different devices, you get different results on biophotons, let's say on tomatoes or cucumbers, and that can be a big difference. then we thought, well, if this is the case, then the most easy way, if you manage to do it, if you can find a way, is to restructure water from a chaotic state, what we call, in a coherent state, and maybe I can explain later what this is. Then it means that the communication system in your body is a lot better, and that's very beneficial for all health, consciousness, and everything. So to understand what is the difference between a chaotic state of water and a coherent state of water, you have to look at it like this. In a chaotic state of water, all the water molecules will bump, at randomly against each other. There's not a lot of life in it. You can heat it, etc. You don't see any difference. But if you manage to let all the molecules work together, like soldiers, moving in the same direction, then it becomes completely different. Then it forms, at least that's how we think about it. You cannot see it under a microscope, but we think then it forms like crystalline. It gets crystalline forms. And if you remember, maybe in the first radios, they use crystals, to receive information. Crystals are there to receive, store, and send information. So if you manage to let all the molecules work together in this beautiful coherent state, then it's a lot more in tune with your surrounding around you. And it depends, of course, on the crystalline form, if you get good information or bad information. And so it was clear to us that there's a whole life over there, and nobody understands water, and nobody even knows what water on this planet is coming from. Even our own body produces water. It's called metabolic water. And so then we did a lot of research to see which would be the most ideal way to make coherent water with its best benefits for your health. So we tested a lot of devices, and the issue was that most of the devices, they lose their power after half a minute to maximum 1.5 days, depends on how you shield it. And so we thought, so this is not good enough, and because, well, if you're going to drink the water and you pick your mobile phone, the coherence will be destroyed even inside your body. So then we did a whole study on cosmology, on minerals, on metals and stuff like that, because we knew the normal stuff was not good enough, at least not for us. And normally they use vortexes, magnets, crystals, and or information and stuff like that. So we knew this wasn't good enough. We had to study more and learn more. So we studied like a couple of years on all these different subjects and combined them in one device. And so we keep on testing that, and we especially tested old water, which was important for us.
Old water.
Old water. That means if you, after the structuring, don't use it like for a couple of months, and then do your test.
Okay.
Because then it's stable, yes or no. And so we were able to do that. So that was the first success. But then we realized also it needed some more steps. So we added a second step, which has to do with lightning. See what happens if you, after lightning, you go to a lake, you feel it's completely different energies in there. And the third step was to create a third device where it runs through to get it open to the information of the cosmos again. That sounds a little bit non-professional maybe, but that's how we look at it. And the only thing what counts is if it works, yes or no. So then we did a lot of tests in the greenhouse, like I said, on biophoton measurements, infrared vis, UV vis, Raman spectrum, etc., on plants, and to see what happens. Then we found that when you start off giving them the right water, the biophoton amount increases from 50 to 150% to 100% sometimes.
That's a lot.
So that means actually that there's a lot more activity going on in this plant on ATP levels, because the mitochondria, I don't know if you're familiar with mitochondria. Yeah.
Yes.
Mitochondria, of course, funny thing is that mitochondria have been proved that they're also bacteria. And every cell contains about 500 to 1,000 bacteria. Fine now, I'm getting wrong, 500 to 7,000, I think, mitochondria. And the amount and the quality of mitochondria actually says something about your health. And most chronic diseases, cancer, actually has to do with mitochondria. And probably, when they produce ATP, light comes off, and that's the light what you're measuring. So more light in cell means more effectivity of the mitochondria. So a higher ATP production, which is very beneficial for your health, because everything what we eat is not our fuel. The mitochondria they make out of glucose, 1 glucose, 36 ATP. Actually, that is your fuel. So that was quite exciting for us, and we started testing older and older water, and sometimes even use like water for 1 year old, and to test it. And then we know, water plays such a key role. Immediately, we did so many different tests. We have now like 100 pages of scientific research to back all of this. And the first we did, of course, a lot of studies on and also on the soil. We saw a difference in the microbiome. Actually, the good bacteria, they love when the water is coherent, they start growing. That's a crucial thing. So since mitochondria also are in the past were bacteria, they also love, the structured water a lot more. But then after that, we were very clear what it did on tomatoes. And I don't know about you, but when I would have a choice of a tomato which looks the same and one has a double amount of light and the other one, I want to eat that one with the light in it.
Yeah, same for me.
And actually they taste a lot better. I get more taste in it, etc. So then we had to make the step into a human body. So we were looking at how can we test that, and it's not so easy and not so cheap. So we ended up first on a glycan study. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I've heard about it, but can you explain what that is?
Glycans actually are sugar molecules. They are attached to proteins. And when they attach to proteins in the immune system, we call them globulins and immunoglobulins. And they can be anti-inflammatory or they can cause inflammation. When there's too much glycans on it, it can cause so the balance between anti-inflammatory and pro-inflammatory is very important. When it goes to the balance more to pro-inflammatory, then it's easier to get low-grade infections all over your body, and it finally will destroy your immune system, and it says something about chronic health. And so we did for 21 people, we let them drink the water for 2-3 months, and we saw that the average biological age, because it says something about the biological age, went back 1 to 12 years, only after drinking 2-3 months of the water.
Do you know why some people went back 12 years and others just 1 year? Do you know what the difference is?
No, but it depends, of course, on your lifestyle. You can, if you drink the water and you drink 2 bottles of whiskey every day, then probably it's not going to rise that hard. So, of course, so we didn't let them change their way of living, because otherwise if you would change the diet, which is very important, of course. If you would drive every day to McDonald's and drink 1 glass of our water, it's less beneficial than when you have a good diet, biological food, and organic food, etc.
Sure,
So probably it's because of that, and also your microbiome is very important in it. So it depends a little bit where you start on it, and so that changes. And of course, you have your own DNA, radiation. Stress levels. If you would start drinking water and you would have high stress because one of your parents dies or whatever, of course, things will be different.
Yes.
But we were very pleased with it, because it usually takes 3 months to get any changes after diet regime anyway. So I cannot tell you why, because we didn't follow up on those people and ask them how do you live, and etc. etc. And but that helped us actually for the next step. Then we went into the microbiome study, And like I said, the microbiome is very. Now, first we did the ATP study. What we did is we did double-blind, placebo-controlled research on people and did looked for how much ATP is there in the blood, and then let them drink the water for 2 months, and then measured it again and see what the ATP levels was. And actually, the rise was 73% of ATP on the group, and about 28% of I'm sorry, 24% on our group who drink the Analemma water, 28% to be correct, and 7.5% in the placebo group. So that's a huge difference. So also from that we know, the ATP levels go up. And then we did the research on the stool for people, also double-blind, placebo-controlled, and then we saw about 83% improvement of the dysbiosis index. So that means you get better bacteria, so less harmful, less pathogenic, and more positive ones. And in the placebo, I think it was 38%. But also 62% of them got actually negative effects on more pathogenic, etc. And so we were very pleased with all these results. And all of them were double-blind placebo. So then you get a little bit more the whole cycle, if you know what I mean, because we started off with this whole microbiome, how important it is. So we really could see that these bacteria and viruses or whatever what's in the microbiome, they really do love that water and they grow a lot faster from it. We also did in the soil, which had been destroyed with Roundup, glyphosate, and we've found that had 2 groups, one control and one with the Analemma water, that there was a big amount of rise in the microbiome in the soil. So it helps to restore the soil, which is very, very important. Because I think I read somewhere, I don't know if it's true completely, but that 93% of the microbiome of our soil has been destroyed. And that's bad news.
Worldwide?
Sorry?
Worldwide?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And of course, there are places where it's more and less, etc. But especially on the developed part. Yeah. And the microbiome of the soil is the food for our gut. That's why you said you have a big garden. That's why you should play outside in the garden, get with your hands in the soil. But we destroyed so much of it worldwide with all kind of toxins, herbicides, and even radiation. I'm convinced that radiation also destroys a lot of it. And since we live now in a complete world over-electrified, let's put it that way, too much in the electromagnetic field, which is not natural anymore. And a lot of bacteria we found out don't like that. So good bacteria will die from it. So this whole combination of what's happening now, is a destruction for the microbiome under the soil. And that's really bad news because the soil is our immune system, the same as our gut. For me, the soil is the gut of the earth, and our gut, like I said, a healthy gut has about 1,200 species, complete differentiation, and the more variation there is, the better your health is. And to be honest, with all the people we started off, none of them had a 100% healthy gut. And these were Dutch people. So, and these were normal, kind of healthy people. And I think that's one of the reasons why we see more and more allergies and autoimmune diseases and more cancer, because, well, we are troubling our immune system. And the main thing is we're troubling the immune system of the soil, so it doesn't feed us anymore with the good bacteria. That's one reason to eat organic. Your food has to see the soil, if you know what I mean. That's why personally I don't like aquaponics that much if there's no microbiome involved, because you miss that part of the information, and that is very, very important. That's one of the reasons why I started to grow my own garden over here. And actually, I come out of a family, one of the biggest farmers of this country.
Oh, really?
So I was brought up with glyphosate, if you know what I mean. And so I
Yes.
know that part very well, and I saw what it did to the soil. And I'm not blaming any farmer or whatever. I know how the system works, so it's not to blame the farmers about it. So don't get me wrong. They do what they have to do, if you know what I mean. And but there's something wrong in the system. But anyway, we could prove that with our water, that actually it was very beneficial to get the big part of the microbiome back in the soil. So that's also good news. So that's why we made now a garden Analemma, which will be on the market in the next couple of weeks. So you can garden your own, put the Analemma water in your own garden, and
Cool.
yeah.
Do you just attach it to the hose or something like
Yeah,
that?
you just attach to the hose, and then you can spray, or you put it in between, or to whatever what you want. But you can water your whole garden with it. And of course, we also have now the whole house Analemma, so you can now bathe in it, if you know what I mean, which is very beneficial. Or maybe you can talk later about it. But so, and to go back to your question, so that's why water is for us the main important ingredient, because it's actually I look at it as the bio-quantum computer.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the science is changing very rapidly. A lot of people don't know, and especially doctors don't know, because they're too fixed in, giving medicine to cut down symptoms, but not treat the issue, and not the whole of the issue. And to me, most chronic diseases are not monocausal, if you know what I mean. You know, you have your inborn immune system, you have your microbiome, you have radiation, you have toxins, you have your parents, you have whatever, everything which is there, your stress. So all of it is important. So if you want to treat a chronic disease, you cannot treat just one thing. And that's a big mistake, because before, your immune system is built for resilience. That means that if you get one smash in your face, you'll stand up, but after the third one, you go down. So all of them you have to treat if you really want to heal somebody. All of them are equally as important. But the funny thing is, water is like the bio-quantum computer in between. There's a whole new science popping up, and it's called quantum biology, finally. And we've been more and more being looked at as bio-quantum computers.
Can you explain what that means, a bio-quantum computer?
Well, in the old-fashioned way, we looked at this information in the body goes through a neural system, neural pathways, and endocrine systems, which is true. But there is a lot more going on, and it's a little bit difficult to explain, and it's not like I understand it completely. I did a whole school on quantum physics, tried to understand a little bit, but it's very complicated, let's put it that way. But it means more or less in your body that the communication system instantly work together. Like the whole nose, how can you smell, we can, I have 1,000 different kinds of smells we can distinguish in our brains, and actually that all of them is considered as a bio-quantum computer now. In the past, they said it's not possible in a body to get quantum entanglement, so that things work together. But because they said, well, it's too warm, our body is too warm to do that. But they found out that even like the chlorophyll in a tree, in a leaf, it's a bio-quantum computer. It attracts electrons from the sun, and by quantum strategies, it goes where it goes almost immediately. It searches for all the pathways, and it finds it where it has to go. And so it's an amazing system which we don't understand how it functions, but it gives a complete different perspective. And like you have this guy Erik Verlinde, he's a quantum physicist in our country, and he was in the newspaper. He said, not matter, but quantum information is the building block of everything. So we are quantum information. We are information. You know, if we want to see in astronomy if there's something, well, life in another planet, we search for a wavelength of 21 centimeters because that's hydrogen. So everything has its own wavelength. Everything is information. So we are information creatures. And so again, that's why I like to tell my students, you are a colony of bacteria in a pool of water run by the cosmos. And all the information is there. So if information pathways, information systems work well, you have less blockages. One beautiful example for that is acupuncture. I love acupuncture. And the whole system, the way we think in it, you know, how everything works together. And there's always a discussion going on, meridians, do they exist? Yes, they exist, and there's been enough proof for that. But I look at it like, you know, from a glass fiber point of view. We have our connective tissue, which is actually almost an organ by itself. And that's actually in those connective tissues, there are the runway system, there's a glass fiber system, and actually the water in that system does the work. So it travels all the information, that's how I look at it, in a quantum speed levels through your body. So even using a needle in acupuncture is doing something with, or you want to call it electromagnetic information or quantum information, we don't know. But it all has to do with our information system. If you have an information system which runs smoothly, you don't get any blockages, and then there is no pain, then there is no disease. In acupuncture point of view, we look at it, if you have pain somewhere, it's a stagnation of either blood or energy. And all of it has to do, again, with water. So water plays also there the main, the key role, the information in water. So by making the water in its most coherent state you can find, the communication systems will be a lot easier in your body, and you will receive a lot more beautiful information. We found out that especially, and we were not looking for that, but on spiritual level, conscious level, people change when they drink the water.
But how do they change?
If you have more connection with other people around you, with nature, with the cosmos, you know. And then you know that you are a part of a whole system and you're not separated from it. And our whole especially last 50 years, 100 years, school, everybody tells us we are separate. You are separate from your brothers, you're separate from everybody. Okay, you have your ties, but you're separate. You're like a unique thing. You are a unique system, a thing, but you work together with everything. And when you realize, you know, you get more information that you're part of everything, you become more conscious and you won't destroy like your neighborhood so as much as you would do if you're not conscious. If you were very egoistic, you throw away your McDonald's packet or whatever. But if you become more conscious, actually you start feeling what the food does for you, and you're not going to throw it away outside your car, because you know actually you're destroying your own garden, if you know what I mean. So there is a more deeper sense of interconnectedness when people start drinking that water, and that's the way I would call it a more conscious water. Which is important. Like I said, it's weak. You can see it as a radio, you know, and a radio, you turn a dial and you get a broadcast. So if you have a better tuned radio, you get more information, and more beautiful information, and more harmonic information. Let's put it that way. And that's probably also the reason that we're testing now actually in a spa in the US, that people just come over there and they lay in the water for half an hour, and on Analemma water. And they have beautiful results on the cardiac output, blood viscosity, and stuff like that. I mean, the 100 will be tested over there, and even more than by just drinking it. And for me, how I try to explain it is, well, okay, of course, your skin also has a huge uptake of water, but that's not the core. I think what very important is when I shower with it, when I lay in that water, our internal community system with the outer community system becomes more harmonic. The disharmonic tones, which are bombarding me all the time. My Wi-Fi sends me information. When I use my phone, I get a lot of information. It's also going through the brains, through your brain, etc. It makes it more harmonic. So your information system will be more harmonic, so more healthy and also more peaceful.
That's really interesting. What about the cosmic part of that?
Mm-hmm.
So can you also explain what the name Analemma means?
Yes. What we found out actually that we want to make everything stable, like in one, but we found that all the frequencies actually change every day according to the position of the sun. We are never the same. Your liver is today different than yesterday. And there's actually, we made whole calculation of it, but it's a whole other story. It's about information, but since we talk now about the water, and so the water also changes every day according to we found out to the Analemma. If you look at the symbol of the Analemma, it's an infinity in 8, and you have the winter solstice, summer solstice. So the position from the sun to the moon is different every day. And we found out that actually already 2 hours before the water came up, when we were feeding the plants with the water and measuring the biophotons, that the plants knew 2 hours prior the sunrise that the sun was coming. They already start reacting. And the funny thing is, the more we did a beautiful test with seeds. We put like we had a carousel with 24, where you can put 24 petri dishes in it, 24 dark chambers, and I'd randomly put seeds in it and give them the Analemma water or control water. And the funny thing is, after measuring them every day, like for 4 days, we found that actually there was a movement, a wave in the seeds who got the Analemma water, and no wave in the seeds who didn't get the Analemma water. And then we looked, what is it? How is that possible? And we found that actually it follows the rhythm of the moon cycle. And especially one day after new moon, you get an explosion of energy in plants. And already Rudolf Steiner said, you have to put the seeds in the soil after new moon. So he was right. We could prove that more or less. And so that means that those plants are having a lot more communication with the system, with the outside, if you know what I mean, with the cosmos. And since it's not the same every day, it's not possible. It took us also over a year to produce the mother water, because the whole possibilities for all the year, every day should be put in. And that's why we call it actually Analemma water. The funny thing is, just check it out. Look for pictures of the Analemma. Nobody knows what Analemma is, and it's right in front of us every day.
Right. When I heard of the name, I first thought, oh, it just sounds nice and melodic. Yeah. And then I looked it up. I was like, okay, now this makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So for us, it's a symbol that it's it's every day it has its best connection with the inside and outside.
So the Analemma water has the information of a year, right? So there's the moon cycles and the sun cycle. Have you found, or have you tried or thought about, like, the next bigger cycle?
Yes, we thought about it, but it's going to make life very difficult. And to do that, actually, we're constantly doing that. I mean, there's water over here which has been there for years. And I'm convinced that, of course, there are more cycles. We have a 22,600 year cycle, I believe. That's going to take a long time. It's going to be a little bit difficult. And we were very satisfied, of course, now with what it does. And it's hard enough to make it like for over a year to create the mother water. So probably you're right. And but it's very hard to deal with that. But actually, we're still looking into it. It's true.
So I was thinking, like, right, we have all of this water on our Earth or in certain parts, and it's always exposed to everything. But, like, does it lose information, or like, is that like historic information always in there, and why can we not access it, or why can it not be transferred to us? Do you know?
Yes, I can say something about it. Let's go first back that nobody exactly knows how it works.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's this whole idea of coherence, etc., is out of the quantum quantum field. Actually, it's one of your Italian guys, Del Gudici.
Okay.
He did a lot of beautiful work on it, and he unfortunately he died. And so that's more or less also his concept about how the molecules work together. And you can, well, you can look at it from two different point of views. A lot of times it has been said that water has a memory. And to be honest, I don't agree personally, but
Okay.
maybe I'm wrong. What it does, if it forms a certain structure, it always attracts that information of the structure. So if I would put information of toxins in the water, let's say I use glyphosate again, I throw it in the water, it forms, it has this physical glyphosate, if you know what I mean, but also the energetic part that forms a crystalline form in the water. If I take out the glyphosate, then still the energetic form is inside. So that's why I'm a big fan of cleaning all the water of poisons, bacteria, and stuff like that. But still, the information of all that bad news is inside. It's not really that it is inside, but it has the energetic form that it constantly attracts that energy. There are people who say the energy is inside the water. I'm not so sure because they did research. I read it somewhere. I cannot find it back where I read it. I was looking for it lately. In Russia, years ago, they did a study like with homeopathic medicine. When they put it in a Faraday cage, it didn't work anymore. So that means that it's not in the water of the in a homeopathic medicine, but it has a certain structure which attracts the information of what Rustoxicodendron, whatever calendula, whatever what you want to put in. It's a difference than from a herbal point of view because then you talk about all the essence, but also the information. It's a huge difference if you make herbal medicine with Analemma water or with normal water. We found out
Okay.
it's a huge difference if you make like homeopathic remedies with Analemma water or with ordinary tap water. Because ordinary tap water, there's loads of negative information in that way. And if you don't get it out, well, actually, you're drinking it all day. Luckily, we have a good resilience, so your body knows a little bit how to deal with it. But that also could be one of the reasons why we have to drink so much water, because I think it's quite strange nonsense that we have to drink like 2.5 liters of water, what a lot of therapists say. If you would look at it from the evolution point of view, and that's not very handy. Suppose 10,000 years ago you had to go from one side to the desert to the other side, had 10 days no water. You had to carry 25 liters of water, which is not functional. So what you see is what actually animals in the desert and people who live in the desert, what they do, they eat plants with water because plants make the water coherent. If I put my horses outside in the field, they drink far less than when they're not in the field, because the water which is in plants is far more beneficial. We have to probably have to drink so much water because the water what we drink is not beneficial. We pee out a lot of it, and more and more it's been considered that the body itself produces water. So and it's called metabolic water. So how better the information system is, how better the water structure is, the more the body can do itself. and you need less of that. And of course, that raises the next question: so is there still a lot of coherent water on this planet? Unfortunately, no. That we did a lot of tests, even from water from Greenland. I took some water from the South Pole, and the strange thing is that as soon as it enters Wi-Fi's radiation and stuff like that, it falls back into chaotic water. But I think, and the reason why is that, okay, how it has been done then in the past. In the past, nature itself made it coherent. You live in a beautiful part in the mountains, what you see what water does, it always does like this. It never goes in a straight line. It creates a right vortex, a left vortex. That's how it energizes itself, and it cleans itself. And the water came from a pure stream, so people would drink it from a pure stream. And so it was not necessary, and there was not so much harmful radiation, toxins, etc., next to us, entering our body. So that was not an issue. But these days, because the pressure is so high, it cannot stay stable for a long time. That's why we had to find another step, to make it stable, which was actually our biggest research, to make it stable. Otherwise, when it falls back in the chaotic state, well, it helps you a little bit, but sure, not enough. And if you look at it, what we did with all the canals, they're all straight lines. We made out of rivers who did this, we made straight lines out of it. Our piping system in our house, goes in straight angles. Yeah. Water doesn't like to go in straight angles. Water loves to flow, from left to right, and move all the time, and not go in straight lines and stuff like that. So there are many things which are destroying the natural coherence which was there in the water. So unfortunately, there are people who have maybe beautiful wells. Personally, I'm convinced that I did some research in Sicily on the blue zones. And to be honest, I think the water is very important. It plays a key role. And not all the other social stuff, which is very important. But what you see is that most people drink from the same well, and that water, also goes on their soil, and they grow their own vegetables, etc. Personally, after my measurement, I think that plays a key role. So, of course, there are places which have beautiful water, but most people, 99% of people, they don't have access to it.
Yeah, because I live in the village, right? So the water travels little shorter distance through the pipes.
Yeah.
And it's relatively good. Like, you can drink it from the tap. But even if I just go to the city, which is, half an hour drive away, it's bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
I cannot drink it.
no, it's so hard. Oh my God. It's awful.
True.
And like, for example, when I use the Analemma one on my tap water here, it makes it a little less harsh. It takes like an edge away, and it's nicer to drink.
Smoother.
Exactly.
Yes. True. And that, almost everybody recognize the difference. We did so many tests still doing when people don't believe it. Well, you don't need to believe my story, but at least taste. If it is different, you let them drink some tap water, you swirl in it and let them taste again. And most people who can taste a little bit, they for sure taste a difference in it. After that, personally, I hate to drink other water. Even though sometimes when I go to a restaurant, I don't refuse to drink the water, and I'll wait till I come back, back home.
Yeah.
If I forgot my wand or whatever, and especially on bottled water, the issue is, of course, all these plastics. I don't like the taste of it, to be honest.
No.
And what I don't understand, I saw it many times also in Italy, is that they put all these big bottles, plastic bottles, outside in the sun. Yep. And then you buy a bottle like that, and then it tastes of plastic. You're just drinking plastic.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea.
No.
But anyway.
Yeah. Like one of the things that actually, so let's say, like opened my mind to the Analemma water was that I started putting a jug of water outside of the house, so it was exposed to the moon and the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it was half a day, sometimes it was 2 days. It depended, and it would taste different depending on the weather and the time it was outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually found, so my personal favorite is foggy night and foggy day in the
Okay,
winter.
that's
It
interesting.
it was the most, like, I don't know, it was just more refreshing than the other ones for me.
To be honest, I think it's a great test, but I never did it.
Oh, you should try
I
it.
know I'm gonna do that the next time when it's a foggy day. You put it outside for one day.
Yeah, just outside the window, so it's like
Okay,
nothing special.
and close the lid.
No, open, open.
Open, open,
Yeah,
open.
I had a glass jug and that was it. I also noticed a difference that the different glasses would also produce a different taste.
Yeah,
And
true.
sometimes I used a ceramic
Mm.
jug and that would be a little bit different again. And yeah, so
Yeah, I mean even all the waters are different. When I was doing my research in the blue zones in
Mhm.
Sardine, I took a couple of liters of water back home, and we made Analemma out of that water, and that's
Mhm.
even, different because all of the waters had different minerals in it, different energies in it, whatever how you want to call it. But especially the minerals, they give you a different taste.
Yeah.
That's why some waters taste nice, and other ones, and it's also personal. Some people like a little bit more salty, other one a little bit more sweet water, and that. But I have to do that. It's actually why it's foggy. Why then the taste is better. It's actually an interesting one.
I don't know. I stopped doing it in summer because we have like agriculture around
Mm.
us, so they spray stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Then it's better not to do that. No. Then
Uh,
for sure you get a different taste.
yeah.
Yeah.
But even with that, there was still like a more aliveness in the water. Like in summer, it's just like gives you a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
push.
And is there also different I can imagine that in springtime it tastes different than in the
Yes,
autumn.
yes. All the
Yeah.
seasons are different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
If you, I did it regularly last year, and because it's just better than drinking it straight from the
yeah.
tap. And so I, noticed like, oh, it's like the weather was like this today. It's like, oh, full moon, new moon, you know. And
It's interesting why it's foggy because the first you would think that maybe in the sunshine would help to get more
yeah, but
information.
it's a different
Yeah.
taste though, the sun. But I don't know. It's just
Well,
just my
I'm gonna
preference.
test it and do some also with different measurements on it. So we'll see. But anyway, then you also understand why it takes us a year to make the water because it's never the same, and you
Yep.
have to get all the seasons in it to get the whole cycle in it. Your body in from acupuncture point of view, if you go in wintertime, you go more inside into the yin state of your body, and when springtime it goes more out. So that's why my question was if I can imagine that the springtime, even when it's foggy, it's different than in the autumn.
Yeah, I think maybe the indirectness and kind of gentleness of the light is maybe just good for me personally.
Hmm.
Maybe that's why
Well, yeah,
I
and it
like
also
it.
could be
But
another thing is, of course, all the information from out of the cosmos has to travel through the damp, if you know what I mean.
oh, the
The
fog,
the
right?
fog,
Yeah.
yeah. And so maybe that also already helps a little bit to make the information more coherent already before it touches the water.
Oh, you
Could be
think
a
it
reason.
would filter out like certain radiations?
Yeah.
Oh,
Water is a broadband absorber for all the electromagnetic fields.
that could be an
So
explanation.
think about the story what I told you about the atmosphere around this planet.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, then you have a very closed atmosphere very close to your water system. So I could imagine that it takes out a lot more radiation already before the information comes into the analemma. It's just an idea.
Maybe you're right.
That would be, well, that seems the most logic to me.
Mm-hmm.
And probably we did some tests, now I speak about it.
Mm-hmm.
We did some tests to create even in the morning or in the evening the water. It also tastes different already.
Yes, yes.
Again, in the morning you have the young is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the energy is right turning, and in the evening when it goes down, it's left turning, and it goes into a yin state. So all of it, I mean, I love those stories because I mean we need to remember that we are nature, and we are part of nature. And those things that keep you remembering that you're part of nature, that nothing is the same. I'm not the same in the morning as in the evening. I mean, everybody is different in that, and that's a nice thing about Analemma water. It goes according to the movement, whatever is necessary.
Yeah, it's really cool. So different kind of question. Because when you start getting into the water, it can be a little confusing at the beginning. And can you explain the difference between the coherent water and Dr. Pollock's fourth phase of water? Just so it's clear what is what and what's the difference.
Exactly, I don't know. Nobody knows. And the fourth phase of water is, I mean, I do appreciate, I know him personally, I do appreciate a lot the work of Gerald Pollack. And the fourth phase of water is being created by getting a hydrophilic, like Nafion or something, you put in the water, and you get a split in electron and protons. And this electron part, so more negatively loaded, is also a thicker, more viscous kind of water, which claims to be beneficial for your health. But as far as I know, it's not being researched if it is. And we did it the hard way. And actually, we decided, that's why we went into biological systems, because all the research, if you dig into it, is being done from out of physics or chemical perspective. And what does it say? When do you know if it's beneficial for your health, yes or no? That's why I decided, as we did some tests on a near-infrared spectroscopy, where you can see if they call it coherent, yes or no. And we found out it showed a lot of coherence in it, but we decided not to use it because we want to prove what it's doing in the body. And until now, I mean, we're going to see Jerry again in October because there's a 4-day water congress over here, and so it's been every year. And as far as I know, they still don't even know if the fourth phase is the same as being coherent.
I would expect it to be different
Yeah.
because it's about like different things, concepts.
Yeah, I think it's personally, I think it is different in that perspective. So I mean, there are many prosperities in water. Water is like such an amazing thing. Like we talked before, it changes. It has all kind of things, and most of it we don't understand. And you can do it research in two ways: trying to understand, and then go back and see what it maybe does in the biological system, or see what it does in biological system. Do a double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized study. Then you know if it's beneficial, yes or no. And we choose for that way, which is the most expensive way, because, well, you can say, well, oh, you have this beautiful picture. We saw this structure, in Emoto's research, and okay, good. But what does it do in your biological body? That's why, I mean, we spent. You don't want to know how many money in research, and we're still doing it. We just did a big research in Zagreb and the Agriculture University, which had beautiful results, but we're waiting for that everything is on paper. It's going to be published. That all the basil plants, they were a lot better on all kind of measurements. with the Analemma water. And finally, for us, what it does, it counts, and not what it does in theory. And because everybody's talking about theoretically, nobody understands water. That's for sure. And but if we just look at it from that chemical point of view or a physical point of view, I still don't know if it's healthy, yes or no. So personally, I think it's different from the fourth phase of water from Jerry Pollack's idea, and probably it's also healthy. It's like a battery; you have a plus and a minus. But I don't think it's the same. It's just a different perspective.
For you tell me if how I understand it is like right, or if I'm completely off. So if I would make an analogy for the coherent water, it's kind of like a symphony, so music, right? And you have different genres and European classical music, Indian classical music, I don't know, Inuit classical music, and they create a certain coherent pattern and make you feel a certain way, influence you a certain way, and make certain things happening. And then there's like less harmonic ways of music that can be kind of like disrupting instead of building, I guess. Is that kind of
No, I think it's a perfect what you say, because that's how I look at it. I mean, even if you would listen, if you would forget about the water and you would listen like to Spotify, it's a lot. I mean, if you would listen to Spotify classical music, it's okay. But actually, my brain gets tired after 20 minutes, half an hour. And why is it? Because all the waves are being cut off. Parts are being cut off. So your brain needs to make music out of it. So it's constantly working. And you miss, which is very important, what you said, the harmonics, the overtones. Everything in music and also in electromagnetic frequency produces overtones. It doubles in tone, which is our natural harmonic system, how it communicates. If you take that out, it becomes then like one tone, which is usually annoying. And for example, we build now in our clinic a whole new system which is called information medicine, where we use tones, sounds, to heal people and animals, and it works amazingly. We worked for 30 years on it.
cool.
But it's on the website, but we had to add the overtones to it artificially. Otherwise, we didn't have the same.
It wouldn't work.
No, it couldn't work that well. So actually, you're 100% right. And that it go back to the water. If the water is, well, what we call it coherent, but it's also just a name. It has the whole symphony in it with all the beautiful overtones. So your body is more capable of picking out, oh, what do I need, what do I want, etc., etc. And then when the water is not coherent, it's just like in a chaotic state. It's bumping, it's not harmonic, so your body has more problems to get the right information out of it. That's why probably it works that well by bathing in Analemma water. Actually, one of the next experiences I'm busy with now is using sound underwater in swimming pool when it's Analemma water.
Nice.
We're going to see some beautiful results with that, but that's going to be the next step.
What kind of sound are you going to use with that? Just the
No, well, actually, we found about 4,500 frequencies the last 30 years, which are in your body. And we could measure them, so we decided if we can measure them, then you can produce them. And then we did a trial on 3,500 dogs, horses, and humans, and we found beautiful positive results with it. But we had to add the overtones to it. Even like with the Analemma, it changes the frequencies every day a little bit according to the position of the sun. So because the frequency of your liver today is not the same as tomorrow.
Oh, I gotta ask you something. So, because this ties into this. So, I like opera singing, but it's just a hobby. And so, right, with the other overtones, it's really annoying if somebody doesn't know how to produce the overtones. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
not nice to listen to. And recently, I went to our church to just, without anybody. It was empty, and sang a little. And obviously, it's I think, Gothic construction.
Was it
So,
you? I saw it somewhere. Somebody sent me a kind of YouTube film.
uh huh. No, no, I didn't send you anything.
Wasn't it on the internet somewhere?
No, no, I
Oh,
just
it's
did
funny.
that the other day. Just
Okay.
I don't know. And so the point is, so I was just singing a little bit up and down, and nothing really. And the church, right, has the nice geometry, and it produces a lot of overtones. And I think it takes out like some of the, I don't know how to call it, but the not so nice tones.
Hmm.
And could that have a similar effect on the body than what you're doing?
Yes.
Tell
Yes.
me, kind of.
Now the funny thing is that's why I said somebody sent me, and it's about 2-3 months ago, kind of YouTube thing
Mm-hmm.
that somebody in a church, actually she looked a little bit like you, was singing over there,
Yeah.
and you could hear all the overtones come, and everybody
Right.
was like, "Whoa, what is this?" It's like really, you get goosebumps out of it, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
because your body really, it loves those harmonic tones, but actually that is, like I said, that's what the water is doing. So that's why, and you have, of course, when you're singing,
Mm-hmm.
these are longitudinal waves. These are pressure waves. That's different than transversal waves in electromagnetic. But all
Mm-hmm.
of them, water seems to correct.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, you do it by singing, and the difference what we do in our clinic, that we wrote sound files which are
Mm-hmm.
exactly for a certain purpose, for your
Mm-hmm.
liver, for etc. And there are also people now.
Mm-hmm.
This one is called like Pansori singing, I think. Is where people
Bonsori.
Pansori,
Okay.
Pansori, yeah.
Bonsori. Mm-hmm.
It's actually a Dutch woman does, and she tunes in for you, and then she starts singing for you.
Oh.
And
Mm-hmm.
they seem to have tremendous healing effects on it, because everything is vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So you just give the right vibration. So your whole, for me, a chronic disease is um, is about disharmonic tones, about communication
Mm-hmm.
system. When the communication system doesn't work, you can run chronic diseases. So by giving the right tones, by when it touches your communication system, starts working again, will work again. So you'll feel a lot better on emotional part, on physical part, all kind of parts. So to be honest, I think the future
Mm-hmm.
of health will be what I call information medicine. Because if you would know how to deal with it, there's a lot, almost everything in the future could be healed. I'm convinced of that.
Yeah.
But water plays a
Mm-hmm.
key role in that, because if no good water, there's no good perception. So that's why I constantly go back to the three: microbiome, water, information, and water is in the middle. It takes care of it, that the information for the microbiome, for the bacteria, is right. That there's actually, I think it's John Stuart Reid, who did a lot of research on crystalline forms and water with sound. He created a device when he can
Mm-hmm.
inject sound in it, and you see in a petri dish, you see all these beautiful geometric forms.
Mm, yes.
And that is what is happening. If you create sound with the right water, it creates these beautiful geometric forms in your cell. And that's how communication is working in our body. At least I'm convinced of. So that's very important. It's very important, and information for me, you can call it singing, electromagnetic, whatever. As long as it is a harmonic, it works in a positive way. So
That's very
yes,
cool.
and actually, all these old churches, they knew this. They use all these actually the golden mean angles and stuff like that to get the most perfect sound.
And I noticed like it actually amplifies the sound towards the outside. So
Yeah,
I didn't know that before. So I was like, oh, okay,
yeah,
this
yeah,
makes sense now.
yeah. Yes. They knew what we're doing. Those the old churches. Now we forgot all these techniques, but it was common. I mean, if you go to Egypt or whatever, all these old religions, buildings, they're
Yeah. The new churches are so ugly. Horrible.
true.
You
True,
don't
I
feel
agree.
good when you
No,
go in. But the
no,
old one is like,
yeah, yeah,
you can
yeah.
relax.
True, true. And even the years ago, 25 years ago, research on measuring energies in old churches, and also it depends a lot on what kind of stones they use. They knew exactly what they were doing, and when they used marble, when quartz crystal, etc. But
Yeah.
anyway, maybe that's if we talk about quartz crystal, that's also the reason why we use for this vial a quartz crystal, because quartz by itself is a receiver, storer, and giver of information. That's why we use silicates, in computer devices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If we would have been using normal glass, then because normal glass is contaminated with lead and stuff like that, that's why you don't become brown after sit behind a window,
Yeah.
is because it takes out the UV part. And for me, UV is yang, infrared is yin, if you know what I mean. So you need the whole information. And quartz glass is one of the few rare materials which all the information can pass through. And actually, we use one of the purest quartz which you can find on this planet. There's almost no contamination in it.
Oh, wow.
And that's why it is a fragile thing, because we need all the information which is inside the mother water to pass through. Actually, the formula of silicates look a little bit the same like water, so that all the information can pass through. If we would use normal glass, we tried it, or some other materials, then nothing would happen.
And I read on your website that it's even like radio, like no X-ray resistant. Correct?
Yeah, the water itself, yeah, this almost resistant until almost all we did test with the Wi-Fi X-rays. I mean, I take it with me in the plane
But it
when I
needs to
fly.
be like in the no, even
No,
just the
no,
wand
yeah,
open is
yeah.
oh wow, okay.
Don't ask me how it's possible. I have an idea that it is because it's such a stable crystal. It needs a lot of damage before it falls into a chaotic state. It can sometimes take a while, like a half a minute or so, before it bounces back. And
Okay.
we even found, and that is strange in the past, but it's not scientifically proved, that after damaging the Analemma water, it bounces back even a little bit stronger.
About that, because I read about something like this, just in general with water, not specific to the Analemma, but when you expose it to like the Wi-Fi, as long as there is it gets a break, it kind of learns
Yeah,
and becomes stronger.
yeah, yeah. And actually, everything in our life works in that way. If you meet a nice bacteria or virus, you become sick, and the immune system says, "Okay, I'm going to be a little bit stronger now." And so the next time when there's bacteria come, you won't be harmed by it. So yes, I think there's a whole learning system, and I think that goes through the field, the quantum field, which is out there, and the same like Rupert Sheldrake talks about the morphogenetic field. There is this memory. So I think personally, by damaging, not too much, it becomes stronger. If you over damage, of course, you kill. Until now, we could not go that far that we could damage it permanently, the Analemma water. But it's not like many people ask about the whole 5G. Personally, we think and that if it helps for Wi-Fi and all this other kind of stuff, it also will be for 5G. But since all the frequencies are even not out there, and this has already been proved that it actually damages the natural good bacteria, so that's not good news. But we were not able to do like 100% tests to prove that, because it's still not all the frequencies are out there, etc. But I don't see any reason, if it helps against the other one, why it shouldn't help for this one. Well, for X-ray, sure. I mean, I've been doing it many times in my pocket, or even when you have the wooden one, it's not protected for X-rays anyway.
Okay.
And so you put it next to Wi-Fi, all kind of stuff.
Cool. And what do you think is the most mysterious part of water?
The most mysterious part is that I think we know so much about it. And for me, water is a living creature by itself. Not to make it too spiritual, but
you can. Please
for
go
me,
for it.
for me, water is God's tool to talk with us, to communicate with us. Personally, I don't think water is from this planet, if you know what I mean. It's the big communicator, and it's a living creature by itself. It's everywhere between all the galaxies, etc., etc. It's the big communicator, and it's so refined that we're just, scratching the edge of what its potential is and how it works. Again, that's why we went into biological research. Then at least you don't need to explain how it functions, but that it functions. And I learned one thing: if I'm gonna wait till science proved everything how it works, well, wait. I mean, when I actually, a funny story maybe, when I finished to be a vet in 1993, I learned at school that horses don't have any back problems. And why not?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't scientifically proven that you could have a pain in the back. Really. And people have pain in the back, dogs have, cats have, but horses not, because it was not scientifically proven. Now, after 30 years being a vet, everybody's checking the back because he found out there's a lot of back problems. And by that time, when I remember once at school, I said, this horse has a back problem. And actually, my teacher got angry at me. Horses don't get back problems. Okay, but there's a vertebra in it, and when I touch it, it says ow. So, I mean, just to give you the stupidness about something is there, something is not there until it has been proven. Okay, we don't understand 100% how it functions. We have an idea. Water is so amazing, so hard to understand in that way, that the best way to understand water is to use your gut. And you know why? Because your bacteria in your gut, they love good water. And so I'm convinced, they now call it the second brain in your gut.
Yep.
I would put it the other way around. For me, it's the first brain, and this one is the second brain. We have our nervus vagus, which is a very important nerve in alignment, and a communicator between your brain, your ears, throat, heart, stomach, and your intestines, and back. And that's, I think it's like a quantum thing going on there in the communication between your brain and your gut. That's why you can feel instantly when something happens. When you get scared, you feel it in your belly. Even when you fall in love, you feel it in your belly. If it feels good, you feel it in your belly. When it feels bad also, these are different feelings. And water plays also a key role in that. So the most exciting thing for me in water is that there's still a lot to learn of it. And probably at the end of my life, I will say, well, now I know maybe from this, I don't know.
Right. The
That's
more you
amazing.
know about something, the more you realize you don't know.
You don't know anything, and we don't understand what life is, and we act as if we know everything in life as human beings. That's a little bit ignorant, I think.
Just a little.
So that's why, I always try to tell people, stay open. Don't judge. Because as soon as you think you know, as soon as you think what is right or what is wrong, you're stuck. You stop growing. And water always is the material for me which helps me to learn, if you know what I mean. Maybe in 2 years' time, I will tell a different story. But anyway, then I learned. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's the point.
Yeah. It's very important.
Awesome.
We have to stay children until we die, in that perspective.
Yeah. Or you'll die early.
Yeah.
Just, it's kind of like that, right?
We have to keep on playing and be, how do you call it, curious in what's happening around us. And for me, water is the one who makes me curious the most. It's around us everywhere. We think it's normal, and we just think we need to drink it and that's it, but that's a big mistake.
Yeah. I really started out like that. Yeah, it's just, you just drink it.
Yeah.
No more thoughts needed towards the thing.
Well, and as soon as you enter in, there's no way back.
Oh, it's true. It's true.
But it makes life a lot more interesting.
Yes.
You know, our senses, our smell, our taste, what we see, what we hear, I think it only covers 0.05% of what's out there. So don't judge only with this 0.05 or whatever percent. There's a lot more out there, a lot more than we know. And I think the good times in these times is that things are changing rapidly. I mean, this whole idea of Descartes, you know, that we just are like machines.
Yes.
Yes, it's going to the end. All the research, you know, and the only thing what we do now in medicine is make things more expensive, but we don't cure a lot more. Maybe we are better in coping with symptoms, but even that is a question. And in everything you can see now in science, especially in biology, philosophy, that we realize that we are one, all of us. And that's going to be a big change, I think. So for me, it feels like we're on the edge of a complete change. Everything what we thought will be different in the future. Maybe I hope it, but it feels to me that everything is changing. We are at the end of what we could discover in where we are now. Yes, we can make more artificial intelligence, more computers. That's fine, but not in the spirit and not in the body.
It needs to be integrated, right?
Yes. But we need to have a more conscious spirit to integrate it. Otherwise, it will go wrong.
Yes.
If all this stuff is very easy to use it, of course, in a negative way to control people and etc. And we're running very fast in that direction. And if all those people were conscious, you don't need to control. I don't need to control you. You're the person who you are. And if you are a healthy, conscious being, you don't need to be controlled. You won't do anything wrong.
Yep.
That's how I think about it.
Well, I think this is a great place to end it.
Thank you so much.
You were also so kind to offer all the listeners a discount code of 10%. And the link will be down below in the description. And you just type in "what if" for my podcast. What if there's a better way? And I also put the website, the Analemma water, there. Do you want to add anything of
I just
projects, websites?
the one thing I would like to add is that, of course, we are selling those water tubes because everybody needs to earn money of it, and there's we did a lot of research in. But the reason why we did it is really from our perspective to try to help this planet. And that's one of our goals in the future, is actually to get all the water on this planet coherent again. Imagine what would happen if all the lakes, rivers, drinking water, seas would be coherent again. We get so much more beautiful information that there will be less information of toxins, and the whole microbiome of this earth would revive and become healthy again. And actually, that's our main goal for the future, that we don't have any business anymore, that all the water on this planet is coherent, if you know what I mean. That's our main goal, and we never forget it. We consider ourselves as stewards of the water, not the owners of the water.